Welcome back to Market on Close. It's time for Options Corner. Kevin Green is joining us now. And Kevin, as we get close to the end of our day here, what levels are you watching on the S&P 500?
Yeah, well, Marley, obviously we started off pretty strong here, but it's been a little bit weak over the last, let's say, 2 hours or so. We have seen a decent little consolidation here at the bottom of the range, but we have been able to hold a very key area of support if you're looking at the options flow from today. Early on, we started off very bullish, looking at that 6470-ish area as your first area of resistance, and then you saw a lot of activity at the 6500 level, but we did see a little bit of failure. A distribution pattern kind of took place here early on in the session, and we started going towards the 6450-ish area, and that's actually where we do see a significant amount of put action today. You're looking at 6450 to 6445 here. We had a consolidation, and now we have this cup and handle pattern that we're trying to break out of. And actually, if we're able to get away from the 6460, you can look at another 10 to even maybe 15 points to the upside. But you're going to need to have some of the mega cap tech names really kind of outperform and get out of their slump for today. We'll look at a chart about that a little bit later here, but overall we're still kind of compressed in this range. We're trying to get out of it as much as possible. This is exactly what we saw around this time last week, where we had a session where every type of positive or any type of advance that we had was on light volume, and then you saw some aggressive selling kind of taking place. That's exactly what's been happening here today. We did see some decent volume on some upticks, especially around the Goolsby comments that came out about an hour ago or so, but ever since then we just continue to sell into a lot of this strength. So hopefully we have the mega cap names really try to carry their weight here going into the close. That's going to be Apple, which is still doing pretty well on the day. If you're looking at it, it's still green, but kind of been a little bit lackluster because of some of the news flow. Tesla as well, and then you're looking at Google. Those are really the three names that you'd like to see kind of get off the mat, maybe get some buyers stepping in here, and that should actually propel us higher because the broader equity market is actually doing pretty good. We still have 80% of the stocks in the S&P 500 in the green so far, even though the price action looks a little bit lackluster.
All right, we'll talk about the mega caps in a second, but I see in your charts that you've prepped that tell us about the S&P 500 equal weight outperforming the S&P 500 today.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're kind of talking about. If you're looking at the S&P 500 equal weight, it's actually up over probably 1% at this point in time here. It actually had a little bit of a pullback, but it's been up to the right ever since, just showing that more participation in the market, more advances are taking place here. But you did see the S&P 500 kind of stalling out, and this just kind of represents the fact that a lot of these larger cap stocks or these mega cap names really do influence the market, even though we have really good optimism in some sectors. When it comes to technology, it looks like it's kind of, once again, a little bit dampening down the activity for today. This is not a bad sign. What you would like to see is maybe a follow-through day tomorrow where the equal weight continues to outperform, but you also have the mega cap names kind of contributing a little bit more. That will give you that thrust that you'd like to see as far as price action if you're a bull, to give you some confidence that this is going to be able to hold up. You don't want to really see any type of breakdown between technology and communication services for a long period of time. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's happening right now, but this is actually a very interesting dynamic that we have seen here today, where we're making newer highs, and the S&P equal weight may, depend on the close here. I think it's only about 20 points away, 15, 20 points away from potentially making all-time closing highs. So that's also a decent milestone to be on the radar here for today. But this just, it represents the fact that we just have a couple of names really that are kind of dragging us down and really preventing us from really trying to rip higher and try to get to that 6,500 level in the S&P 500.
Yeah, it is very interesting. As I look, all of our indexes right now either unchanged or in the green, but I look at Meta down more than 1%, Microsoft down more than 1%, Netflix 1.5%, Nvidia down more than 1% on the day. So some big names we're not used to seeing all in the red. It's just a big section of red when we look at mega cap tech stocks on the board. But as far as volatility is looking today, I know we've had a lot of discussions about volatility, knowing that some of those are underperforming the broader market today. How has that impacted volatility?
Yeah, so if you're looking at volatility today, we still see the VIX actually moving to the downside. That seems to be the continued trend, even though we had a little bit of a blip on the radar on an intraday basis. But VVIX, or vol of vol, we're measuring the volatility of the VIX index itself, actually did move up to the upside. Now, there's two reasons that this could actually take place. One, volatility is relatively cheap, and you now are starting to see institutions getting in and actually hedging their positions. You could also see that when it comes to VIX options volume today was actually pretty aggressive on the call side. A lot of traders looking at the $20 calls for VIX expiring for the September expiration. So keep that one on the radar here. But we also have a situation where VIX expiration is not going to occur until Wednesday of next week. Last trading day Tuesday, expiring on Wednesday. So we should see a little bit of an uptick there. Usually we don't see that many divergences here. I have two scenarios in yellow where we did have VVIX starting to move higher, vol moving higher, but the volatility index for the S&P 500 actually diverged and moved lower. That doesn't last for too long, maybe a session or two sessions before we do see a re-rating. And usually that re-rating's to the upside for the VIX.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate you walking us through those charts, and we'll see you in a little bit when we break down Cisco's earnings later on the show in our closers panel.